Hi, I'm Forrest, and welcome to the Storyboard. Today we're going to continue our discussion on humanity in the Mass Effect universe. And we're going to talk about how they spread to other systems, made first contact with aliens, almost went to intergalactic war, and how we ended up where we are at the beginning of Mass Effect 1. So, if you remember, last time we left off with humanity discovering this giant alien slingshot thingy at the edge of our solar system. The leaders of the Systems Alliance understood that the only way they were going to find out what was on the other side of this thing, which they've dubbed the Chain Relay, was to send a team through it. In my mind, I'm choosing to believe that this team consisted of Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck, Steven Tyler, and the rest of Aerosmith, because they don't want to miss a thing. Anyway, the man they chose to lead this motley crew was a guy named John Grissom. Now, while Grissom was a very loyal soldier, he was also described as being very downbeat and reclusive. He's what you could call a Debbie Downer. Regardless, in 2149, Grissom led his team through the relay, and they successfully landed on the other side in a place called the Arcturus system. Now, the Arcturus system is like a bajillion miles away from Earth, or, if we're being more scientific, 36.7 light years. So, when they returned to Sol and found out that almost no time had passed from when they left and when they returned, it was kind of a big deal. Grissom and his team went down in history as some of the great human explorers. I'm serious, they joined the big leagues. They were up there with people like Christopher Columbus and, It's sad I can't think of anybody else. Humanity quickly expanded into this new system available to them, and despite there being no habitable planets in Arcturus, the Systems Alliance began to quickly build a space station that would act as their military and political headquarters. The appropriately named Arcturus Station began construction in 2151, was put into use in 2156, and completed in 2162. The reason Grissom and his team landed in the Arcturus system was because there was another mass relay in the system. So, while fiddling with Arcturus' mass relay, human scientists discovered that it was actually the nexus of several other mass relays in other systems, and it could be used to go to those systems. This knowledge was like putting a huge button in front of humanity and telling them not to press it. Obviously, we pressed it. We quickly began settling colonies in systems all along these relays, and we built up a very powerful navy to protect these colonies. For a time, everything ran smoothly for humanity, and policies and rules began to lax because of it. The nations of Earth once again began to look at more earthly matters, and the Systems Alliance began to lose clout in more serious political theaters, like the UN or Congress. Despite the excitement of the last few decades, things got really quiet for humanity. But 8 years later, everything got real loud again. In 2157, while a human scout fleet prepared to activate another mass relay, a group of unidentified ships approached and destroyed all but one of the human vessels. This lone surviving starcraft fled to the nearby colony of Shang-Chi, where it contacted the Alliance and confirmed that they'd made first contact with alien life. And they were hostile. A retaliatory force was sent to Shang-Chi and managed to defeat the alien patrol. But naturally, the aliens also sent their own backup. With exploration spreading the Alliance's resources thin, these reinforcements sent by the aliens were able to break through the human fleet and onto Shang-Chi. However, as they besieged the planet, the aliens underestimated the valor, tenacity, and resourcefulness of the human soldiers, led by one General Williams. Realizing that a ground war would lead to pointless casualties on their side, the aliens began an orbital siege of the planet. Now, while the Alliance still had a very sizable fleet at their disposal to throw at these aliens, it took time to gather the necessary resources and to regroup for another counterattack. Despite this, General Williams and his men continued to fight the good fight, using things like guerrilla tactics to keep their enemy off guard. The aliens, however, had superior numbers, positions, and technology, and they weren't afraid to level city blocks to kill just a few human soldiers. After months of fighting, General Williams made the toughest decision any military commander has to make. He realized that the only way to save his men and the humans on Shang-Chi was to surrender. So he did just that. And while most of the citizens of Shang-Chi were now either taken prisoner or held hostage, they were all spared their lives, thanks to General Williams. At this point, the aliens believed that they destroyed the majority of the Alliance's army and navy. They thought they'd won, and this hubris left them unprepared for humanity's counterattack. The Alliance's second fleet, led by an admiral named Cassidy Drescher, broke through the alien lines, destroyed many of their ships, and liberated Shang-Chi. At this point, both the Alliance and the aliens were gearing up for full-scale, all-out interstellar war, which we would have undoubtedly lost. Fortunately for us, such preparations drew the eye of others in the galaxy. An intergalactic political power called the Citadel Council, which you could equate to something like the Republic or Empire from Star Wars, stepped in and negotiated a peace between the Alliance and these aliens, revealed to be a militaristic species called the Turians. This entire conflict started because of a simple misunderstanding. A council law originating over 2,000 years ago states that it's illegal for anyone to activate a dormant mass relay without going through the proper channels. The Turians that started this whole kerfluffle were just enforcing that law. Fortunately for everyone involved, the First Contact War did not become the long, bloody struggle that it could have been. Instead, it lasted only a few short months and cost only 623 lives. Both Admiral Drescher and John Grissom, who had taken up a leadership role during the war, became even more famous. However, Grissom soon retired and found himself a quiet corner of the galaxy to call home. General Williams, however, went down in history as the only person to ever surrender to an alien during wartime. And though we know he did it for noble reasons, the public still decried him for it. He was eventually forced to resign from his position, and he faded into obscurity, though the tarnish on his family's name lasts to the present day. Because of its success during the First Contact War, the Systems Alliance surged in popularity amongst humans. It established its own parliament, and it became the supranational face of humanity as the species leapt into galactic politics. In 2165, the Alliance was granted an embassy with the Citadel Council, and we chose a lady named Anita Goyle as our first ambassador to the alien community. She would eventually retire and be replaced by a man named Donald Udina. The war also pushed the Systems Alliance into the eyes of the galactic public, though their reception of it wasn't nearly as positive as humanity's. The First Contact War interrupted a very long period of peace in the galaxy, and humanity was unfairly burdened with the blame. The conflict created a generally negative reputation for humans throughout the galaxy. For their part, the Turians were forced to pay fairly sizable reparations to the Alliance, and both human and Turian veterans still harbor antagonism to this day. Some soldiers even went as far as to create extreme pro- or anti-human organizations, movements, or agendas. Thankfully, the antagonism between the Systems Alliance and the Turian hierarchy has cooled in recent years, and the two are now trade partners and military allies. Now in compliance with intergalactic law, the Alliance kept expanding their borders into unclaimed star systems and integrating their people into the interstellar community. In comparison with others in the galaxy, humanity had a meteoric rise in political, military, and economic power, which was worrying to several other species. In particular, it worried a people known as the Batarians. These tensions have led to some seriously dangerous confrontations, the most notable of which being the Skillian Blitz, which I will go into more detail with later. So, there you go. These last two videos have covered pretty much anything you'd ever want to know or need to know about humanity in the Mass Effect universe. Next time, we're going to talk about some of the various other species in the galaxy and about the Citadel Council. That means we're going to be talking about squid people, and frog people, and bird people. I'll see you next time. Hey! Thanks for watching my video. If you thought this was interesting or you learned something, please be kind and like, favorite and share this video with your friends. And in case you didn't see, new storyboard videos will be out every Tuesday and Friday on this channel, starting right now! So check back here on those days to see more lore videos. Or you could subscribe and get them sent to you automatically. That would be cool.